Landon here, Untitled RV of Coldwater, Michigan, just under 15,000 miles. This is a Four Winds Class C kind of convertible bunkhouse model where the bunks can convert into a daytime little eat-and-go kid dinette, which is very cool. But this RV has a little bit of history, and unfortunately, 99% of it's good, but the 1% that's not is really not. So this RV has a couple soft spots in it. And that's super scary stuff. But if you know anything about us here at Untitled RV of Coldwater, Michigan, it's that we shoot you straight. We don't hide things and we don't lie by omission. We don't tell half the truth. So let's look at the scary stuff. We'll get that out of the way and understand we acknowledge that scary stuff. We are the ones talking about it, and we have taken that into account when pricing this RV. This is nowhere near suggested book value as a result of what I'm about to show you. This rig is really just a textbook example of the transparency in which we conduct ourselves and the way that we'll go way out of our way to be fair to somebody. Because if you look here, sure looks fine, doesn't it? Looks like everything's aces. But when we ran this through an inspection, we noticed the bottom of this slide was starting to get a little soft here. So this could be caused by a couple things. It's not really obvious what might be causing it because everything actually appears to look pretty much how it should. So what I think might be happening is the slide was left open a great deal in the rain. Now normally this shouldn't bother a slide out, but somewhere something is catching water and causing it to just sit on this underbelly weave right here. And this stuff is very water resistant, but this underbelly weave right here is not specifically waterproof. So I think a little bit of water is wicking in through osmosis, and it has begun to compromise the bottom of the kitchen slide here. Now, chances are you could camp with this for the rest of your life and it would never cause you any problems, but you deserve to know it's there. Theoretically, you might be able to do some kind of slide repair kit to kind of prevent that from happening over here to help prevent some water intrusion. But again, in theory, this shouldn't be going on and you shouldn't have to do any of that. I think it's kind of an isolated incident. I don't think it speaks to like, well, this is a known problem for this brand. I've never really seen this from this brand before, but it's the kind of thing that we check for here at Untitled RV. Now, spot number 2, once again, something that you just straight cannot see. When we were going through and inspecting the RV, we noticed that the floor in below that dresser area right there, it was beginning to crown a little bit. What that means is that instead of the floor being flat, it has kind of at the side. So like, obviously, I mean, I could walk all over this thing. It's not falling out under me. There's a very slight soft spot on the floor right there, probably from the flexing of it. My guess is there just wasn't quite enough gusseting done in the floor construction under this area. And since this is behind the axles of the RV, near the back of the RV, it twists, buckles, and flexes back here more than most other areas of the coach. So I think that's what's caused that. Again, it's exceptionally minor. It is very early in that process. We take that into account when we price this thing out, but you deserve to know about it, because if I drove from 4 hours away under the auspices that this thing was just too good to be true price tag and no issues, and I found that, oh, I'd write you a bad Yelp review. And I don't want that to happen here. I want you and me both to be on the same page when you come visit us, so you know what you're getting for your hard-earned American dollar. And finally, yet another thing you can't see. I mean, you can't see it from inside or outside, but we detected it in our inspections because we tend to be pretty thorough. We got up here on the roof, we looked around, and at a glance we're like, heck yeah, this looks good. This is how an RV roof is supposed to look. We got the Max Air covers, we got that HD antenna. This thing looks fantastic. Then we got up here, and I think kind of like that bedroom area, there is, if I can find, there's a little soft spot right there. I have no idea whatsoever what has caused that. It's not a leak. I don't see anywhere where the RV is leaking. There's no signs of water damage inside. There's just one spot here, which once again I suspect is due to twisting and geometric flex and stress that has caused that soft spot. And once again, I don't think it's really going to affect you. Once again, you deserve to know about it. So, if you're still with us after this, well, actually, let me say this. If what you've seen makes you go, it scares me too much, I totally get it. I totally respect it. That's why we went out of our way to tell you about it. So what I'd invite you to do is take a look at one of the other 500 some odd RVs that we have here at Haylett RV and know that we'll shoot you just as straight on those as we did this one. But if you're still with us, it says, okay, I appreciate you, you know, not trying to fleece me here. For the right money, I'd be interested. What else you got? What you got inside this thing? What does it bring to the table? Now, naturally, with a motorhome, you want to see how it operates in transit. So if you stood up in the cab area and turned around, this is what it would look like. And it gets a little tight right here, especially if you got a couple people sitting at the sofa in transit, but obviously you can pretty easily navigate through this thing. This is an interesting model, and you'll see this in more detail when we open it up, but it's kind of a bunk model that converts into something of like a daytime sort of kid lounge, and that's just smart. That's incredibly smart. What's also smart is having bathroom access in transit, because I don't know what it is about your kids who don't need to use the bathroom, and then the motion of the highway, for some reason, man, it just brings it right out of them. Am I the only one that's had that experience, or have you seen that too? Now, by contrast, coming from the rear bed and or bath and or second dinette area moving forward, this is kind of the view you'd be greeted to here. And you can see that even in transit, you have plenty of like nice big functional windows, gets you lots of light, lots of sights. And if you're taking a family trip, that is the kind of thing the kids are going to remember. They're going to remember how the trees looked like broccoli in the distance and stuff like that. That's just the thing that sticks with you when you're a kid, I think. At least it did me, obviously. I got a feeling these people did a lot of off-grid camping. We got 307 hours on the generator. Whoa, she fired right up. She fired right up like an absolute champ. That's exactly what you're looking for. Which really kind of confirms a little bit of what I was thinking. I believe this RV has been very well kept. Shut that generator down there. But there's just those couple little things. Anyway, 7-foot interior, pretty common in motorized RVs, but it gives us that nice big open feel. Plus the wide body doesn't hurt. Big windows everywhere, and all of those AC vents that we saw can be turned and closed, which is nice. I like little shelves behind sofas like that. I wish that was a thing that was a little more common in RVs. It does mean that the sofa is like 4 inches further into the body of the coach, but obviously there's plenty of room to navigate the RV even with the slide closed. So it gives me a spot to actually be able to set down a drink. The opposing windows here, like I said, give us great airflow, give us great viewing when we're driving. But you have pleated night shades for all of your windows, so if you really want to blot out the sun, you can. This has an easy up-down gas strut assisted dinette system, so if you want to turn that into an extra sleeper, you can. So between the front overhead cab, which is 2 sleeping spaces, we'll say the sofa and the dinette are each one. You've got 2 more for the bunks, 2 more for the master bedroom. You could definitely, sleep 6-8 people in here pretty easily if you had to. Now the TV pivots out for easy viewing from your primary seating positions. You can see that there is a, the sort of filler pad for that to become a front bed and a ladder to get you up there so you don't have to throw the kids. Plus up top, that bigger Max Air vent fan. And you already saw how there's roof vent covers over that. Now up top here, an overhead cab window is something that a lot of coaches just have stopped doing. I like that this one still has it. Now, the Ford chassis this is on, the cab area, is rather standard. They spent most of the money on the coach of this one. You know, the shiny skin and the features that we'll see as we go through the kitchen area. Everything up front here in the driver's cab area, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But it gets you there. You turn the key, you push the pedal, you put it in drive, maybe not necessarily in that order, and it gets you there. That's what it needs to do, and it does that well. Then when you reach your destination, you get to enjoy more of your living space where they spent most of the money. Naturally, we are a carpetless floor plan with no vents in the floor. That's pretty standard stuff in motorized production, though. The benefit there, especially for a family or if you have pets, easy cleaning, you know. And I like how the cabinetry's got a gleam, but not like a plasticky shine. Also, that is surprisingly large overhead cabinet space. If I come down a little bit here, you can kind of get an idea of the depth and scope of scale of that. Now, corner kitchens like this, sometimes they're rendered a little bit useless in transit, but you might have remembered when we had the slide closed, this one is very functional in transit because the entirety of this L-shaped kitchen is actually mounted into the slide box itself. So the whole kitchen moves. You're not like losing out in the stove or the sink or anything like that. And since we are so darn tall, above and below that refrigerator, we have good cabinet storage space. Now over here, well, I said we'd come back to this. This is really cool how it converts into, like, if it's a rainy day and you're trying to feed the whole family, it can be kind of tough to feed 6, 8 people at the same time. So having this extra space, or a little daytime sort of play space or evening play space is a very handy thing. But if you are going to use it in sleeper mode, you can see how that kind of converts into this is like a very traditional Class C bunk arrangement right here. It's just neat that it becomes something else. But what is nice is it does have a privacy curtain you can pull around those bunks to enclose that area and give the people there their own little privacy. Now, as we come back here, what's interesting is this is actually one super slide. So it starts with the bunks or the dinette area, and then it comes over here into the bedroom where you just have a whole mess of storage. Big closet, tons of dresser space. There's even storage behind that TV. Up top here, another of those bigger Max Air vent fans, once again with a roof vent cover, so you can get some anytime airflow. Cross breeze windows here in the bed area, storage above the bed, and I like the dual side stands. Very, very handy for CPAP users. That appears to be a Camp Queen, and it probably has to be, since that closet would crush it otherwise when you close it. Now, speaking of privacy, you do have a locking privacy door wall slider here, basically, for the rear bunk room. And I don't want to forget, because I've done that on my motorhome tours before, the bathroom. That is there's a big step-up riser right there. So that toilet does sit higher, which is far more comfortable for a lot of people. Not only is there good counter space, but there's a huge cabinet here as well. And with the RV being so darn tall, it means you're going to have plenty of headroom here in the bathroom, even if you're a little taller than the average bear like me, eh, boo-boo? And overall, the exterior of this thing looks fantastic. And that's the thing, it's been maintained very well. It's really been very well kept. There's no, the skin gleams. The high gloss on the skin looks fantastic. The decals not peeling and flaking. I don't see oxidation. The tires look stellar. You know, you've got the slide awnings doing some extra protection there. We already talked about the Max Air vents up on the roof. Normally I end my RV tours on the roof, so I have to remember I don't need to climb back up there. But overall, this thing looks great. Now, under that first flap right there would be our Onan generator, which will give this RV full like function if you're off-grid. So you're not necessarily just relegated to what you can enjoy in an RV park right here. Home is wherever you park it when you're in a motorhome like this. Like I said, the skin, the decals, just mirror-like in their reflectivity. Gorgeous. Class C's compared to Class A's typically have very limited outside storage. I will say, they did a darn good job on this one, really giving us a very fair amount of outside storage area. That's our propane system right there. And I believe, I'll have to double check, that looks like a larger 10 or 12 gallon water heater. We are not a dealer of Four Winds. Class C's brand new, so a couple little finer details like that I don't just have on my hip from rote memory effectively. You don't need to take my word for it. Let me give you a little eyeball here. These tires look absolutely fantastic. No funky wear patterns, no weather checking. I mean, overall, she looks great. And under that rear kind of bed area, the east-west bed, there's a huge chunk of outside storage here. So your big totes for your big stuff, that's going to be the ideal place to put that. With the Ford V10 power plant and chassis that we're on right here, this should have a 5,000-pound tow rating, which is pretty standard in Class C's. That's nothing too terribly uncommon. I've already been up and down that roof ladder, felt good. While I was up there, I also took specific note to really take a look at the slide awnings. They're not worn out, they're not weathered, they look fantastic themselves. Power awning, of course, LED lighting, of course. And over here, so you didn't have to crawl on your hands and knees in the bedroom to get to some of that storage. There's an outside storage compartment built right onto the slide face itself. And I think this would be perfect for little picnic accessories right here. But not to be outdone, down below, yet again, we have additional storage compartments. Now this one has a little bit of a step well, if you will. It doesn't have a power entry step. That does mean that's a little bit lower right there. I've never really seen that be a problem on a Class C of this size. I've never really seen somebody smash it like with a speed bump or anything like that. It just means that you don't have one more mechanical thing to kind of contend with. It's a little simpler, a little easier. Great for families because that step comes a little closer to the ground, so it's good for the little kids in a bunk model like this that maybe are coming and going all the time. You know, another thing I just thought this would be good for, like if you're grandpa and grandma and maybe you'll have a grandkid or a guest with you sometime, this would be an awesome coach for a now and then, maybe here and there, occasional guest, since that, you know, what would be a bunk space can obviously just be used as storage space or a second dining space or a prep space or something like that other times. So once again, as always, there's no one way to use it. It's just the way that works best for you. So give us a call. I hope you appreciate the honesty, the transparency, and the straightforwardness here at Haylett RV of Coldwater, Michigan. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.